Commissioner Bear? Present. Commissioner Walls? Present. Commissioner Kennedy? Commissioner Duckham? Commissioner Tompkins? Commissioner Mahoney?
Present.
Commissioner Williams?
Present.
Commissioner Elwell?
Here.
Chairman Shotwell?
Here. We've arrived at the first opportunity for public comment guidelines. Each individual will state their name, have 3 minutes to address the board. You may only address the board once under this public comment opportunity and may not yield your time to others. Board members will not debate, nor will they answer questions at this time. Public comments open. Any public comment? Any public comment?
I'm Charity Steer. I live in Waterloo Township. And I believe that one of the issues that's coming before this meeting today is the status of Green Road, which the Road Commission is proposing to close and pave a portion of that in a deal for gravel that with aggregate industries. And while I have had nothing to do with the designation of Green Road as a natural beauty road, I was involved in the designation of other roads in Waterloo Township as natural beauty roads. And my concern is not the overall deal, it's that part of the road that they plan to mine under is designated as a natural beauty road. And abandoning that without the hearings that are expected for a natural beauty road abandonment, I think is concerning for the other roads in Jackson, the other natural beauty roads in Jackson County. And the process that was undertaken for establishing the hearings at the Road Commission for abandoning and paving that part of that road was flawed. The only residents who were notified were residents whose driveways actually came off of or have access from Green Road. And they were invited to the public hearing, but there was no other notification. Only those residents were notified of the public hearing, and to me that was a meeting of invited guests. It was not a public hearing. There wasn't any notification in the newspaper. There was no notification posted on the road, and I felt that I feel strongly that in protection of the other natural beauty roads, the process needs to be more open and more in accordance with the Natural Beauty Roads Act. So I hope that the Commission will apprise the Road Commission of the concerns about the hearing process. Thank you.
Peter Bournemouth. I'd like to say that the only good thing that came out of the lame duck session in the last legislature was the appropriation for McDivitt Road repair and redesign, and I see that that is on the agenda, and I'm hopeful. As you know, I've been a proponent of fixing our roads, and I've been a proponent of fixing McDivitt for a long time, as it's a major artery, and I'm glad to see that that project is going to take place. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Public comment is now closed. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the January study session.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any questions, corrections, or deletions?
Mr. Chairman, I must have missed them in mine. I looked this morning and didn't see any there yet, so.
Deborah? If the commission feels it's appropriate, I'll accept a motion to defer to further down the agenda. The minutes, please. Someone make the motion, please. Moved by Commissioner Elwell, supported by Commissioner Mahoney. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The minutes will happen further down the agenda. Item 5, in accordance with MCL 15268, the Board of Commissioners are going to go into a closed session to discuss case 1407906 and case 17 CV 12342 that will be discussed. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Elwell, supported by Dr. Tompkins. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Bear? Commissioner Walls? Commissioner Tompkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Elwell? Chairman Chatwell?
Yes. Okay, upstairs. Deborah, is that correct? Yes. We'll be back. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Commissioner Elwell.
Support. Aye.
Those opposed? Support from Dr. Tom? How your vote is.
Yes.
Okay.
Kennedy's a yes. Tony, it's not coming through. Are you the affirmative?
Okay.
Oh, what do you got? Passed unanimously. We have a support. Yes. It should be coming toward you.
Yes.
There's been an error and your vote may not be recorded. I'm a yes.
Coming up.
Either way.
Coming yes too.
Yep. Else is coming through.
Yes or no? There are yeses. Passed unanimously. We now arrived at the minutes. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any questions to the minute, corrections, or otherwise? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. Michigan Works Southeast, Shamar Harmon and Bill Slight, Director.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me take a second to...
Entertain a motion to receive.
Second.
We have a motion and support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name's Bill Slade. I'm Director of Michigan Works Southeast. I have with me our Deputy Director, Shamar Heron,
Hey, thank you, Sean.
our Board Chair, Marcus James, and probably the most important person, Angela Watkins, who's our Service Center Manager. Now, where did Angela just... Oh, she right there, okay. So she runs the operation here in Jackson County. So just wanted to take a few minutes to give you an update on what we've done last year, some plans for this year as well, and answer any questions you have about our services as well. So, if we go on to the, see if I can figure out how this works here. Okay, so just a little bit about Michigan Works Southeast and the region we serve. We're comprised, as many of you know, of 5 counties, Hillsdale, Jackson, Lenawee, Livingston, Washtenaw counties. Our total population in those counties is somewhere around 860,000 people, and you see in parentheses the data that's for Jackson County. A labor force of over 440,000 people, and right now we're experiencing sort of record low unemployment rates of somewhere around 3.2% in our 5-county region, a little higher than that here in Jackson County. But that still means that we have 14,000 unemployed workers that we're working with across the region. And really 11% of our total population, or about 95,000 people in our region, are below the poverty rate. And if you take a look at sort of that ALICE population, that working poor population, together with those that are actually in poverty, that's about a third of the region's population that really is really either at poverty level or is just right at that stage where the next flat tire or problem that they encounter can put them over the top. So that's just a little bit about our region itself, and you know, just as a lot of you know, we're not that old as an organization, formed in 2015 when this board and the boards of our other 4 counties agreed to a PA7 agreement to form the consortium of the 5 counties. We have 2 representatives from this board on our consortium board, Commissioner Mahoney and Commissioner Williams. So they join with 2 commissioners from each of the other counties to form our consortium board, and that board appoints our workforce board, and we have Marcus James here, who's the chair of that board, and the workforce board really oversees the programs of our region. We have also 5 service centers, 1 in each county, 5 American Job Centers. We employ about 70 direct staff, and 40 of those staff are career advisors working directly with job seekers, have another 10 to 12 that are working directly with businesses, and our leadership team and support staff as well. So really what we're focused on meeting the needs of our business community. We find that the best way to serve our job seekers is to serve our businesses. So our businesses are our primary customer. We try to address their needs and prepare workers for the jobs that are in our communities. Our job seekers get assistance from our staff, their coaches, they help arrange training, they help them with their job search, really help them navigate the resources they need to be successful in their careers. And so that's pretty much how we operate as a system. Our strategic plan is really to develop our workforce, to engage employers, job seekers, and partners. And we really want a community that sustains a strong, diverse economy where people can live, work, and prosper. And we do that really every day. Our staff goes in knowing that what they're doing is creating a better future for our customers, whether they're job seekers or employers. And that's why we go to work every day. That's how we do our business. I'm going to sort of skip over in the interest of time. You can read in the annual report our vision elements, our strategic intents. And I want to talk a little bit about what we've done as an organization and give Angela a chance to talk about what she's doing here in Jackson County. And so last year, if you'll see in the report, we filled about 5,100 jobs and across our 5 counties, served about 2,300 businesses. We had 70,000 customer visits to our service centers, and that represents about 20,000 different customers, job seekers coming into our service centers across the region. Our budget is roughly about $14 million, and we're proud that we exceeded or met all the required performance standards. That most of our funding is federal funding, and you don't get federal grants without having some kind of performance requirements, so we met all of those performance requirements. And those typically range from whether folks get jobs, how long they keep the jobs, what they're paid in those jobs, what their earnings are, and whether we're meeting their needs. So those are how the standards are set. So I want to bring Jackson up to talk a little bit about what she's doing here and what we're doing specifically in Jackson County. So you're on, Angela.
Thank you, Bill. Again, my name is Angela Watkins. I'm the Jackson Service Center Manager. Here in Jackson, we had the Summer 18 program, and I know Shamar will highlight more on that, but I feel that was a great success. We started with 24 students here in Jackson, and we had 24 that completed the program, so it was a great success. The Family Forward program is a pilot program with the Friend of the Court, individuals who have a child support case in Jackson County. They're offered training free of charge, and that training is at the Jackson College as production control. We also partner with Academy for Manufacturing with our apprenticeship, individuals that are going through the apprenticeship. They receive training at the Academy for Manufacturing. Also, we have the adult education right there at the center, 3 days a week in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. We also have jobs for Michigan grads. We have the first, here in Jackson, is the first one at the high school. We've been doing out-of-school job, we call it JMG, Jobs for Michigan Grads. Out of school, we've now started Jackson, the first one in school, Jobs for Michigan Grads training. Also, we have the, I actually participated with the My Career Quest Southeast in Novi this past summer. Close to 9,000 students, great success, and hopefully we can bring something like that here to Jackson. Education. The Care Hub. The Care Hub is just new, working with Henry Ford Allegiance, where individuals who go to see the doctor or at a center, they're asked a series of questions, and based on how they answer that question, they're then referred. I receive referrals once or twice a week. It could be for assistance with GED, with training, going back to college, or even with bus fare. I receive those referrals, and then I transfer them out to the Pacific Career Advisors at the center, and then they then contact that individual. I then contact the Care Hub, letting them know that I received the referrals and they've been distributed. Going pro, okay. Which button did you hit? This one? Yeah.
I think that will work okay.
All right.
Okay. You want me to cover some of that?
Yeah, you can. I will talk a little bit about the expungement event. We've had 3 expungement session events at the center where we've had Michael Keeney. He's a staff attorney from Legal Help out of Ann Arbor, and he came down and he facilitated the sessions, just letting individuals know what the requirements are to have your records expunged and if they are eligible for that. We wanted to do information sessions because we wanted to gauge to see if there was a need here for that in Jackson, and we found that there was a need. Even with the bad weather, we had 41 individuals who attended the meeting, and 21 of them would like to be contacted if we do an expungement fair in March. So we're looking at scheduling 2 more sessions in February. In the vocational village, I went on a tour of the vocational village, and we're trying to work with them in order, especially with the individuals who attend the truck driving training there, the CDL, and helping them once they are released to pay for that training, the truck driving training, and then help them find employment. We've been really busy out in the community, and we look forward to being active in the community in 2019 and actually engaging new partners. Bill?
I want Shamar to talk a little bit about the Summer 19 program, if you haven't.
Sure.
You're never shy about talking about that.
I do feel like our young people are our future, whether you want to believe the cliche of the song or not, it is the truth. Before I talk about Summer 19, which is your summer youth employment program, I want to specifically thank Commissioner Mahoney for the work that he put in last year. I mean, not only was he at some of the soft skills sessions where we were teaching our young people how to show up on time, how to dress appropriately, how to communicate effectively. He was at the beginning ceremonies where we introduced the young people to the employers across the county, but he was also there for the final ceremony where we congratulated, like Angela said, 24 out of 25 young people. I also want to thank Deb and the administrator, Overton, for allowing their staff from human resources to legal to the work and efforts that they put in to make sure that this went off without a hitch, or at least a hitch we told any of you about, because we are working with young people. So thank you, Deb and Commissioner Mahoney, as well as your colleague, former Commissioner Williams, who is no longer here, but you all really were the backbone of allowing us to help 25 young people learn what it means to be a solid employee. So this year, Summer 19, we already have a meeting set to start the conversations again. So last year we had 25 young people. We graduated 24. The only reason we weren't 100% in Jackson, which has not happened in the previous 4 years in the other counties that we're doing this program, you all were that close to 100%. The only reason we didn't hit it is because the young lady wanted more hours. This is a 10-week, 20-hour-a-week at $10 an hour program. She said, I need more money than that. So she went out and procured a greater employment opportunity that fit her needs. The county was also a fantastic employer for, I think it was almost 10 young people, and they worked across different departments within Jackson County. And so these young people learned what Parks and Rec does. They learned what administration does. They understand slightly what the commissioners do and how you represent different districts. So we gave our young people opportunity there. They worked with the city. They worked with Michigan Works, and we only had 2 private sector employers, Orbit Form and Ally Chucker, correct? So the reason I'm here is to ask that you all, as you're out in district, look at our private sector employers and start to listen when they say they need talent, and know that we have a program right here in Jackson that can start to fill the pipeline. We can no longer tell our young people they're not willing to work and they don't want to get up and they're this and they're that, and we fortify that by not giving them the opportunity to do it. So we are sending conflicting messages to our young people, because folks like me with a couple gray hairs love to say what the young people aren't. And last year they showed me what they are. And so we would like to try and double the program with more private sector inclusion. We believe we can employ 50 young people in Jackson County. But we're going to need your help as commissioners to go back to those businesses who are talking about their talent needs, who are talking about having pipeline development issues. Our young people don't understand what we do here at X company. I'm going to lean on you a little bit and ask that you help them understand that there is an opportunity and that these young people are motivated. 100% of those who participated did not miss one day of soft skills. There were 5 soft skill sessions. They didn't miss a day. So that showed me that they're dedicated to learning how to show up on time, communicate effectively, handle conflict, give a solid handshake, look someone in the eye. Those are all things we talk about that some of our kids are lacking. Well, there's a program right through Michigan Works in partnership with the county where we can address those things. And it's not just for our underprivileged young people. This is a county-wide program, and we had a diverse group of kids serving the program. So I'll send over some information for you all to take a look at. The website is live. It is, they can apply, they being the business. I don't think we're going to have a problem with the young people applying. I'd hate for this program not to succeed because we don't have enough businesses to satisfy these young people's desire to learn how to work. In 20 years, when we look back, and if we don't have the talent, we're going to have to point the fingers at ourselves. And so this is just yet another opportunity for us to prepare our future workforce. And it is called Summer 19. You can find more information at www.mwse.org/Summer19. That's where businesses can apply. I'll ensure that you all get more information on it, and I appreciate you all taking the time to listen. Thank you. So I think Bill's back up.
So thanks, Shamar. So just a couple other things that are coming up this year. We're pleased that one of the Marshall Grant applications got accepted this year, and it was a Jackson County application from the intermediate schools centered really in Northwest District. They're doing a lot of career preparation activity there, and they're getting some state funding to support that now, one of the, I think, 9 grants statewide that was approved. We have in our businesses in our region, in Jackson County, will receive $1.1 million in what used to be called Skilled Trades Training Fund. Now is called Going Pro Talent Fund because the state can't just keep one name. They have to keep changing them around. But 16 companies are getting $1.1 million in Jackson. A lot of that will allow almost 900 workers to be trained. And so these are people that are getting upskilled in their jobs so that they can build their careers in Jackson County. And but we're also looking really down the road. We know that a year from now, there's a Medicaid work requirement that's coming into play, and we want to prepare for that to make sure that folks that are on Medicaid that have that work requirement are able to do that and not lose their benefits. We really are seeing an uptick as well in layoffs, and so a lot in the retail trade, but we're expecting some more in manufacturing and some of our other industries. And so just so that you know and our businesses know that when they're in that situation, Michigan Works is ready to step in to help transition those workers into new jobs. We have right now, today, I think, a rapid response at a company in Washtenaw County that's closing, and we're seeing more of those. So we had, fortunately, several years where we just didn't have a lot of that activity at all, but it's starting to pick up a little bit now. So we're ramping up for that as well. So those are just some of the things that we're looking forward to this year. It's going to be another great year. And certainly if you have your constituents that need our services, get them referred to us. D'Angela and her staff will take care of them. If you have questions about how we operate and anything else, just let us know. If you want to take a tour of our service center, again, Angela will be glad to help you with that. Again, we want to thank Commissioner Mahoney for his service on the board. Former Commissioner and now State Representative Leitner served on our board last year, and we want to welcome Commissioner Williams to our board. I think the first meeting is later this month that he'll be at. So that's about it for unless Marcus, do you want to say anything as a board chair?
Yeah, just one thing. Go ahead. Could you explain the expungement events? I'm not familiar with that.
So maybe Angela can. I can probably wing it, but
It's okay.
she's been involved in it. So.
The expungement sessions are information sessions. Individuals come and they can receive information on whether or not their offense can be expunged. because there's certain requirements that have to be met. And so Michael Keeney, who's the lawyer from Legal Help Services in Ann Arbor, he facilitates that session and he explains that. He goes through a PowerPoint and explains everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what we'll do then is, you know that if people have a record, it's certainly an impediment to getting a job. If they can expunge that record, it certainly helps with their job search and their career planning. And so there's a lot of folks that do qualify for that. It has to be, a certain length of time since they've had the offense, 5 years, and then, certain types of offenses are not eligible, so they go through all that at the information event, and then we'll have another event later on where they can actually meet with and fill out the paperwork and the applications to get that done. So it's all handled through the court system, so.
Thank you.
Marcus.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you again for giving us time on your agenda. I was a 31-year executive with Dow Chemical, living here in Jackson County, and have been tied up with the Workforce Development Board for about 20 years. Previous to this 5-county group that we are right now, we were Hillsdale, Jackson, and Lenawee County, and I was vice president of that group, vice chair of that group for a number of years. The reason I wanted to take a couple of minutes of your time is I wanted to express our appreciation for what you guys have done for making certain that we have good people on our board, because that's your job. You're uniquely positioned. You're the chief elected officials who have responsibility for our board. So I appreciate that. But the other reason I wanted to take this moment is to tell you that I'm also on the Governor's Talent Investment Board. So I was appointed by Governor Snyder, and I'm not sure what Governor Whitmer is going to do, but I've been working across the state of Michigan. And one of the bigger problems we've had is that we have the top education officials, whether they're presidents of community colleges or whatever, intermediate school district superintendents. We have these people at the table on our workforce boards. We have elected officials, who come and get involved. We also have people from the state departments, the directors and those folks there. But where we kind of fall down sometimes is getting the private sector leaders that we need engaged, and we're seeing that across the state of Michigan. So one of the things that you guys uniquely bring to the table is being able to express what Michigan Works does well enough so that we get the leaders from the private sector engaged in this. So if you think about it, what we're looking at is the career pathway everywhere from preschool all the way to retirement, and looking at how do we have the training that's necessary to develop the talent pipeline we need for our region to stay successful and become more competitive. And also, how do we remove barriers for folks who are the ALIS population or any other barriers they may have? How do we remove those barriers in order to make sure we have the workforce that we need? So one of the things that you uniquely bring to the table is, as you interface with business leaders, people who are leading our private sector here in Jackson and the rest of the region, getting those folks to understand that one way to bring their talents to the table and help us be competitive is for them to get involved with this group. And they don't necessarily have to be on the board. We have committees that are looking at how do we best work with employers, how do we best work with job seekers, how do we, there's a Career and Education Advisory Council that we have, and they don't have to be on the board, but if you talk to any of these leaders who have a passion for making certain that this region is kind of leading the curve on being competitive, this is one place that we can bring them in. They don't have to be on the board, but we can have them as part of one of our committees, and they can get engaged that way as well. So to understand that that's an avenue as well for getting the decision makers who have the strategic, visionary mindset of what they want to see this region become, that this is one place that they can come and get engaged, and we can utilize their talents there as well. So again, thank you for giving us time on the agenda, and also thank you for doing what you've done up to this point to make certain that we have the right people we need on our board to kind of help direct this effort strategically. So, thank you.
Any further questions?
Thank
We're all
you.
set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. MDOT I-94 presentation.
Good morning. So, my name is Kelby Wallace. I'm the manager of MDOT's Jackson office, which manages Jackson, Hillsdale, and Lenawee counties for the state roadways. And today here I'm going to provide an update on kind of what's going on in the I-94 corridor. The information I'm going to present here is slightly more updated than what I believe you have in your packet. I've added some additional details on some active construction that will be going on this summer and some stuff that will be going on at Lansing Avenue and Elm Road interchange, in addition to the West Avenue study that we're doing right now. So there'll be some similar slides, but there might be a couple that won't be in your packet. So if you aren't able to follow along, that was intentional. I wanted to bring more information here this morning, up to date as I could. So as a just quick recap, I want to talk about the construction that's going on this summer in 2019 on I-94. We're also replacing a bridge, M60, over I-94 in 2020, and we're replacing two more bridges in 2021, the Lansing Avenue Bridge over I-94 and the Elm Road Interchange project, both in 2021. And then we're also taking a look at the West Avenue I-94 US 127 interchange to see if there's maybe a better alternative to replace that interchange in the future. And then also wanted to provide a advertisement for our public meeting on February 25th at Blackman Township Hall. So currently, if you've been driving the corridor, we have had construction going on all summer and this last winter. They've been working on the new eastbound bridge there south of the freeway near Cooper Street, between Cooper Street and Lansing Avenue. The construction in 2019 will really kick off about the second week in March, where our first major phase will be to close the Cooper Street Bridge over I-94 and detour that traffic to allow us to rebuild that Cooper Street Bridge. We'll also be completing work all summer and into the fall on I-94 between M60 and Sargent to complete the road work that's associated with this project. We expect nearly all the work to be done by the end of the season 2019, possibly with some resurfacing and restoration extending in the spring of 2020 for the current project. And I should back up again. All this work is based on the environmental impact statement that was done in the mid-2000s that identified the future needs of the I-94 corridor. How many lanes do we need in the future? What do the interchanges look like? What kind of traffic volumes are we going to have? So each of these projects is kind of like a puzzle piece building to this future layout of I-94, which is 3 lanes in each direction between M60 and Sargent. So all these bridges and projects we're doing in the corridor are going to be wide enough to handle 3 lanes in each direction and potentially any ramp lanes that also may extend underneath those structures.
Can I interject a question?
Sure.
You said you hope to be done by the end of the 2019 season. You're talking about the portion south of the highway, correct? Or is it the whole thing?
I'm talking about the current project that's active right now.
Okay.
We've got a completion date that is November 2019. Although with some change orders and some modifications, we may have to extend that into the spring 2020 of the current project, which is from M60 to Sargent. Resurfacing most of that, but the area around Cooper and Lansing, we're reconstructing that area that's visible right now. Project in 2020, the M60 and I-94 interchange. Here's a rendering of that proposed bridge structure. Again, that bridge will be rebuilt to accommodate 3 lanes in each direction underneath the bridge. We've got some decorative treatments that are proposed in this rendering on the screen. Those would match what's being constructed this summer on the Cooper Street Bridge over I-94. And here's a slightly different rendering. If I go back and forth, you can kind of see those columns. We call them pilasters. They kind of stick up top on the traffic on M60. You can see that. This one's a little more streamlined. It doesn't have those pilasters on there. So that's the kind of feedback we'd be presenting at the public meeting in February to get a little feedback. We've also presented this information over the last 2 months to several local stakeholder groups, Region 2, the JAX committees, and some other groups to help explain some of this information that I'm going over with today. And that public meeting on the 25th of February will cover basically this presentation I'm showing today. And we'll also have boards of these drawings with a little more details to take detailed comments from the public. In 2021, Lansing Avenue over I-94, here's a cross-section of the bridge. If you're looking at the bridge, this would be looking north. We're working with Jackson County Department of Transportation to determine if their future plans include a 3-lane cross-section on Lansing Avenue, which to the south of the freeway is already a 3-lane as it approaches the city of Jackson, or it would match the 4-lane section that extends up to Parnell Road. Our bridge will accommodate either of those decisions that the county makes in the future. And as you can see on this graphic, or may not be able to see, on the west side of that bridge structure, we will be accommodating a large non-motorized component. And my laser pointer doesn't work on the screen over there, but on the west side, it would be on the west side of the Lansing Avenue bridge structure. We're proposing, I think it's a 12-foot non-motorized component to that bridge structure to allow non-motorized users to cross that bridge. And this has been several meetings between Region 2, Jackson County DOT, Blackman Township about how that facility would tie into the future non-motorized paths of the county. And this project is, again, for spring of 2021. And here's kind of an aerial view looking down on that structure, showing this one. It actually shows a possible 3-lane section on Lansing Avenue, again, which Jackson County Department of Transportation is still analyzing, to my understanding. Elm Road interchange. We would be completely rebuilding that interchange. It's currently a tight diamond. Doesn't leave a lot of storage on the top of the bridge over I-94. We get a lot of backups and lockups for the left turns for the 2 traffic signals that are on the ramps on both sides of the bridge. Plus, we also have a complication of 2 county roads, Rose Hill and Seymour, just north of that interchange, which is always, those roadways are usually impacted by the cue from the traffic signal there at the ramp. So again, working with Blackman Township, Jackson County Department of Transportation, and our MDOT staff came up with a concept you see here on the screen that includes 3 roundabouts. But overall, really was going to provide the most cost-effective, safest solution in the long run. The traffic on Elm is high, but these single-lane roundabouts handle that traffic very efficiently and help keep it separated from the freeway traffic and really help prevent any wrong-way entries onto the freeway. In addition, this option allows us to add a roundabout at that intersection of Rose Hill and Seymour, just north of the roundabout at the ramps. If we didn't consider roundabouts for that location, those would actually probably still be uncontrolled intersections because they don't meet the traffic volumes or warrants to justify a traffic signal based on the federal warrants for those. So by implementing a roundabout, we're able to provide better access for the Seymour and Rose Hill traffic while still keeping it separate from the freeway traffic. There's enough separation between those roundabouts to allow adequate signing so that motorists are clear where they need to be. And again, these are going to be single-lane roundabouts, which are much less complex than maybe a double-lane roundabout that you might see on some of the bigger roadways. This layout is absolutely similar to what we did recently on the US 23 corridor between Ann Arbor and Brighton at Territorial Road and US 23 and at, I think it's 5 or 6 Mile Road, Whitmore Lake area right there. It's almost a cookie cutter design that we were able to bring to this location and really develop something that's going to function well in 50 to 60 years in the future and handle the traffic that's out there for a reasonable cost. This is kind of the cross section of that bridge on Elm Road. Again, providing non-motorized amenities on both sides of that structure. Currently, there's about a 2-foot shoulder on that bridge, very tight for anybody crossing that bridge, not on a car. This option that we're proposing will have a 12-foot area on both sides of the traffic lanes, kind of a shoulder. That in the future could be retrofitted to add raised sidewalks on both sides without having to modify the bridge structure. And this was a outcome after, again, discussions with Blackman Township, Jackson County DOT, as there are no sidewalk connections anywhere near this area, and currently not in that countywide non-motorized plan. But in the future, if there's some desires, the bridge is ready and capable to accommodate those with a real minor cost to add some sidewalk to it. Again, this project is being constructed in 2021, along with the Lansing Avenue Bridge over I-94. And now, as we've seen here and what you've seen on the road, we've got a lot of momentum on this corridor on I-94. We're taking care of these locations bridge by bridge or 2 bridges by 2 bridges and able to widen this corridor and really do some improvements. Based on that, we wanted to be prepared to potentially move forward with a solution at the West Avenue I-94 127 interchange, kind of the gateway for southbound folks coming from Lansing into that West Avenue commercial corridor over there. The history, again, on this location is it was evaluated in the mid-2000s to come up with solutions. And this one actually went through a lot of iterations back then, and there was a lot of differing opinions on what the best solution was. A couple of those solutions are shown on the screen there. One of them involved loop ramps in the northeast and southwest quadrants, similar to what we have today. And then it was eventually decided on that we would consider a full clover leaf, which is loop ramps in all 4 quadrants of that interchange moving forward. Since that time, there's been a lot of newer designs that have been implemented across the nation and in Michigan to handle urban locations for interchanges. And so we wanted to make sure we were still moving forward with the best options. So we've hired a consultant to evaluate the new costs, new interchange treatments, update the traffic, take a look at any property acquisitions that would be necessary for our alternatives. And so they evaluated 5 alternatives with these criteria, including the full cloverleaf that we did previously. The first one, we'll call it a fly-through. In some of the big traffic movements that were a concern in the past was the southbound 127 to the eastbound I-94 movement. That movement and the movement from westbound I-94 to north 127, those 2 ramps carry almost triple or quadruple the amount of volume as all the other ramps do. So those are the movements that we're focused on highly with evaluation of the current alternatives and in the past. So this alternative actually has for the southbound 127 ramp, as you can see, we've eliminated the loop in this southwest quadrant. And that movement here would actually go under I-94 in a new bridge and then go over West Avenue and then head east. So that would kind of eliminate any stops for that movement, which would be a benefit to that traffic, although it does add some significant costs. We've got 2 new bridges to maintain on our network, which are expensive to maintain, and we actually have a lot of grade to make up as we're going under 94 and then we're going over West Avenue in a fairly short area. There's a lot of challenges to maintain those and to provide a safe road that's not too steep and the curves aren't too tight. So we call that one the fly-through. It also has some large right-of-way impacts in the northeast quadrant up in this area here that we would have to purchase properties to accommodate that.
Kelby, can I ask one question
Yes,
on that
sir.
one? You mentioned the traffic on the westbound to northbound, I think, and southbound to eastbound. What about the traffic that comes off westbound and has to go through the traffic light and turn left, is what it looks like. Is that heavily traveled as well?
It is compared to the other loop ramp in that quadrant. This loop ramp there for northbound West Ave to westbound is pretty low, and even that movement southbound to westbound is low compared to the two I mentioned. I believe that one that is westbound to southbound West Avenue
Right.
is medium compared to there, so it kind of falls in that medium category for all those ramps at that interchange.
And then traffic going straight through southbound through that light, that's classified as what, medium as well, probably?
I think there's a pretty large number that head straight down into the West Avenue corridor. Fairly
Okay.
heavy, actually.
Thank you.
And okay. The next interchange we asked our consultant to evaluate it is called a diverging diamond interchange, and we actually asked them to also include a new separate bridge structure to help with that southbound to eastbound West Avenue, southbound to eastbound I-94 movement. So we've actually, traffic headed southbound would actually have a bridge here that they would go under, avoiding that traffic signal on the north side of I-94 that kind of currently exists. And then they would then flow to eastbound I-94. The diverging diamond interchange looks a little complicated based on the graphic on the screen. We've constructed two of these in Michigan and having wonderful success with them right now. The first one, I believe, it was kind of a race to the first one. There's two of them. One at I-96 in Cascades in Grand Rapids, very busy location that actually removed the loop ramps, kind of like we currently have at West Ave, and installed the DDI, operating wonderfully right now and showing improvements in both traffic movement and safety. Additionally, I-75 at University Drive in Auburn Hills, very high volume again on the local road and on the freeway. Also installed the DDI, diverging diamond interchange, and working very well. The real components of a diverging diamond, so I'm going to focus on the southbound 127 movement. So on southbound 127, if you're coming from Lansing, headed down here, you would actually cross, in this situation, cross under a bridge, and so you would actually move all traffic to be on the opposite side of the way it currently functions. You'd be on the left-hand side, kind of like they do in Europe. And so the left turns become unopposed. As this movement comes down here, the left turns, all traffic would be over here, but then the left turns would be in the left turn lane, and then they would head unopposed onto the freeway down here. Because they're crossed under the opposite side of northbound traffic. Similarly, northbound traffic, as it heads here, down here on the West Avenue corridor, would head up, and then it would cross here on this location through a traffic signal, would shift over and be on the opposite side of traffic, and then some movements, left turn movements would head right on the westbound unopposed, or they would head this way if they were headed north. Again, seems complicated on here, but really when you remove those left turn conflicts, you're really, a left turn becomes a right turn. You don't have any conflicts. And it's really intuitive if you drive it. Not that you just go out doing this kind of stuff like a crazy engineer, but if you ever did, drive through the ones I mentioned or Google it online. They're really unique idea that didn't really exist when we kind of first did this study. This location, we tried to eliminate that traffic signal on the north side of the interchange by this bridge. Similar to the previous example, because of the grade, the steep grades, the hills we would need to reach that bridge, and it presents some complications here and an additional bridge cost here, and some tight curves here that are less than desirable, I'd say, with this grade separated DDI. So those are some of the concerns with that option. This option is very similar to that option, except a traditional diverging diamond interchange. So there is a traffic signal on this north side and on the south side. But since there is no bridge separating here, we don't have those concerns with the steep grades and the tight turns and the sight distance that comes with those concerns. The traffic signals were a thing previously that we were looking to eliminate completely. These traffic signals will still be there, but because we eliminate the left turns at those signals, they flow much faster because it's one direction goes and then the other direction goes. We don't have a separated left turn phase that you see at a traditional intersection. These are signals with very quick cycle times, and at the end, we have a summary of how each of these alternatives operates for moving traffic, and they all operate very, very similar with regards to delays to motorists. Additionally, I haven't been focusing on it much, but each of the alternatives accommodates a pedestrian movement, a non-motorized movement on the west side of the interchange, starting somewhere here north of the interchange, possibly at Springport Road or some other termini that is to be determined, but then we would carry some type of facility either at grade through a signal intersection or propose a box culvert if it was a high-speed ramp through the interchange, or a at-grade crossing with enhanced delineation and markings if it was a low-speed ramp. This interchange presents the smallest right-of-way impacts. We do not have to purchase much property at all to construct this option. It operates well because there are no opposing left turns at those traffic signals that those left turns exist at those signals today. And it is one of the most efficient to construct and cost-wise. Fourth alternative is a single-point urban interchange. A little more common in Michigan. We probably got half a dozen or a dozen of these in service. Some that come to mind would be I-94 and Telegraph over just east of the airport at our football bridge, the fancy bridge that has the blue colors over there that was built around the Super Bowl. US 23 and M59 up near Heartland, I-96 and Beck Road and Wixom Road. And the real benefit of this design, and it's a very tight footprint. We do not have to purchase much, if any, properties out there, and there's a single traffic signal that takes care of all the movements in all directions down here. That would include some dual lefts for the large movements. So on a southbound 127 movement would approach the traffic signal that would be mounted on the bridge of 94, and they would stop. They would probably have two left turning lanes for vehicles wanting to head eastbound 94. They would either catch that on a green and continue through, or if they stopped, they would have to stop at the bridge, wait for a cycle, and then head out on 94 with a left turn. And those left turns go at the same time as the opposing left turns for the other ramps, if you've ever been through a SPUI. So it's a single traffic signal which eliminates a current signal which is out there now, but it does operate efficiently because it is only a single traffic signal with a lot of dual left turns where needed. And finally, we've analyzed the Cloverleaf, which is the preferred alternative from the mid-2000s. This one does not have traffic signals on the north side or on the south side of the interchange until you reach Boardman. So it does have free flow movements in all directions. The loop ramps remain for entering and exiting the freeway. So the main benefit of this one is the free flow movements, eliminations of the signals out there. Some of the concerns are it is the largest footprints. We need to purchase properties in all four corners of this interchange. Significant retaining walls that are needed also to minimize some of those purchases. The short merging and weaving areas in between this ramp and this ramp, and this ramp and this ramp are a concern. Not a lot of area for traffic to sort out when a vehicle, maybe on northbound West Avenue, wants to head onto westbound 94. You've also got vehicles that would now be approaching on westbound, exiting to go northbound, so they would be exiting this loop and then mingling with people trying to get on this other loop. This is a very good solution for rural areas where we could have a huge footprint that would allow a mile or two for these merge areas to allow traffic to sort and weave. If you drive US 127 and I-69 north of Lansing, that's a beautiful full clover leaf, but it takes up about 10 or 15 square miles. This is tight for an urban area and end up, because of that, would have some property impacts and a larger cost. So, what does this all mean? So we put together a table here that kind of summarizes a few of the things that I talked about. We evaluated how the southbound to eastbound movement is handled, whether or not that's a free flow movement. We evaluated, I'm going to have to make sure I get these, whether or not we reduced any signals on US 127, West Avenue. We evaluated how much right-of-way, how much property was needed to buy for each of the options. We evaluated the cost of the alternatives. In this column, the average vehicle delay is listed in this column, and this is an overall summary of all the movements. There is, I would say, statistically no difference between all 5 of those alternatives as far as the total movements averaged together. They vary from 19 seconds to 16 seconds in the AM and 37 to 27 in the PM. And these are modeling, traffic planning information that are based on the best information we have. So really not a huge difference in traffic operations. We also evaluated how easy are they to construct. Will it take a single season? Will it take 2 seasons to build? And we also evaluated how friendly it was to the pedestrian and non-motorized crossings, whether or not those crossings would be controlled at a signal or would they be crossing a ramp that was uncontrolled, a low-speed ramp. Kind of based on the minimal right-of-way, efficient traffic, improved non-motorized connections, lower cost, and improved signal operations, MDOT is at this point preferring that we investigate alternatives 3 and 4 in further detail as we move forward, which would be a diverging diamond interchange and the single point urban interchange as a solution in the future. Again, we are always open for comment, but we are trying to get additional public comment. February 25th, 1:30 to 7, we're going to do a presentation. It would probably be the one you just saw for the most part. At 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. We'll be taking comments formally and informally, written and oral, at Blackman Township Hall. And again, we'll be displaying our 2019 construction project, providing updates on that, the projects in 2020 and 2021, and then our concepts for the West Avenue interchange. With that said, I'm done talking.
Any questions for Kelby?
Yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kelby. This is my number 5, and I like the updated presentation. I almost had the first one down. Now I got to go back and study my slides. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Michigan Technical Assistance Team Mental Health Update.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Leonard Swanson. I'm from Wayne State's Center for Behavioral Health and Justice, and we've been working with folks in Jackson County for the last few months. I'm here with my team members, Liz Tolander, our Deputy Director, Scott Smith, our Law Enforcement Consultant, and Celeste Rabeau, our Action Planner. We've been working with Lifeways CMH and the Jackson County Jail collecting data, and I'll show you what we have. But first, a little background on who we are, where we're coming from, why we're here, and what we're doing. So our collaboration started off, this county commission signed the Stepping Up resolution to decrease the number of people with mental illness in Jackson County jails. We commend you for signing that resolution, and the state does too. The state is paying for us to provide technical assistance in this area, specifically behavioral health and justice in the jails, but also the criminal justice system. And so this is our line of work. We're at Wayne State. We do this in a number of counties across the state. Initially with 10 counties across Michigan, we've since expanded to include 4 more, and we're aiming to get into 11 more counties. But this is the kind of background of why we're here, what we're doing, and we appreciate the time on the agenda today to work with Jackson County specifically. So we have been collecting data since we first started. So we came back in May 10th, 2018. We met with a group of stakeholders in this very room to kind of present what we do and to hear what's going on in Jackson County, to see what evaluation model makes sense, and to hear what assistance we can provide. Our expertise is centered around the data collection and knowing how these different pieces all work together to overall show a change in how a collaboration can help both the people in need with serious mental illness and substance abuse disorders, and also officer safety and what system recommendations we promote. So to do that, we made a technical assistance plan, and part of that plan is to collect data in the jail itself. It's good to start out with baseline data, particularly as you pass a millage, to assist with the behavioral health needs in the community. It's good to know where we're coming from, and so we can measure change of how those dollars are affecting this critical area. So we instituted a screening at booking to measure serious mental illness, a few other questions of areas of risk of substance abuse, housing, and past mental health treatment. And we are since also collecting data from the clinicians in the jail, incidents in the jail, and just generally how the collaboration is working out. So that's our plan. This is our first round of presentation around this intersection, and we're excited to get going. So this would not be possible without the stakeholders on the ground doing the work, specifically Mary Beth Laird, CEO Lifeway, Shirley Wilson, the Lifeway's clinician, and their staff, Captain Voigt and Lieutenant Coburn and Under Sheriff Cool. They're here today as well. Also Kim Coburn and the nursing staff. Without their support, our data would not be possible. And I should also mention, now Representative Leitner brought us to the table. She was a county commissioner earlier. She really helped us get the ball rolling. So this mental health screening, we collected 378 of them back in September in 2018. This is the screening tool we used. There's 6 questions that really signal serious mental illness at a reasonable rate, quick and easy for an officer to administer at booking. Anyone could do it. They don't need a particular clinician's skill to be able to do the screening. We've got a few other questions on identification, who they are, and past mental health treatment, housing, substance abuse, things like that. So this is where the data is coming from. So what we're finding is about 26% of the people coming into the jail are showing signs of serious mental illness. That's about 1 in 4. So this is quite a bit. We noticed that in some of the other counties that we've been working in, we started out at a similar rate, but after working with them for 3 years and after they're developing initiatives on their own, we've seen that rate drop from 24% to 20%. So change is possible. It's encouraging to see. I should notice that they've been receiving state funding to help in this intersection. Sometimes that's in clinicians, sometimes that's law enforcement training. But we've been able to see remarkable progress, and we'll continue to encourage similar numbers here and encouragement here. And I should say, feel free to stop me if there are any questions at any point or on the numbers. So, again, people entering the jail, about 1 in 5 reported getting treatment in the past year, about 14% and 15% reporting psych med use and some sort of treatment in the past month. This is about what we're seeing across the state. Nothing really jumps off the page about Jackson County here. But when we start to get into other risk factors that we were looking at, the number of people that reported having 5 or more drinks in a day, at least once in the last year, 43% and 40% reporting some kind of illegal drug use or prescription drug use not meant for its intended purposes. That's a little higher than what we're seeing in the state average around 30%. And 43% in housing insecurity. Now, the reason I bring up the drug use issue is that drug use and serious mental illness combined really associated with recidivism. So that's a marker I want to keep bringing it back to. It's a multifaceted problem. It's not just serious mental illness. It's not just the CMH. It's not just a substance abuse issue, not just the jail issue, but a whole community issue that's going to require a lot of stakeholder input and support. So seeing that high drug use numbers, it's also not surprising to see a little higher recidivism numbers in the state average. So 52% reporting coming back to the Jackson County Jail within the past year. Again, a little higher than our state average of 43%. It's an issue everywhere, but I think particularly this co-occurring group with serious mental illness and substance abuse disorders is what I'm going to keep coming back to of why we think that's driving those numbers. Now, if we look at serious mental illness, again, that 26% number, that's of everyone coming into the jail, but when we start to look at these other areas of risk, particularly the drug use and insecure housing, those folks tend to have overlapping risks. So if you have show signs of drug use, that 36% also have a serious mental illness. If you look at insecure housing, 39% also have a serious mental illness. I should compare this to the rates to the general community, maybe around 5% of our whole community has this kind of serious mental illness. So seeing these high rates of SMI in the jail setting shows the intensity of need in a number of different areas. Not surprising that we see folks receiving treatment are also showing signs of mental illness when we look at the 40%, 56% numbers. And we're seeing similar numbers across the state. Now, there's a lot going on in this slide, but essentially it's calling to the point again that the rate of substance abuse by folks that also have SMI is quite high. So on the top bar graph, you see the 24% and the 52%. Those are people with SMI showing at least some kind of substance abuse issue, right? If you add those numbers up, that's about 3/4 of our SMI folks also reporting a drug issue. And when we look at the non-SMI folks, it's a big issue, but it's a little less prominent that we're seeing. So overall, the SMI population here is has more co-occurring issues going forward than the state average. And if we look at a number of risks, right? So risks including substance abuse, recidivism, returning back to jail, and reporting insecure housing. Our SMI folks have a number of issues going on, right? So it could be a housing problem. It could be their alcohol addiction is causing some major depressive disorder, or their schizophrenic issues are also causing some behavioral health issues. So it's not just the CMH working with this. We're going to also need this data. To us, presents a need for collaboration, hopefully trying to find some substance abuse dollars to do some jail treatment, and bringing multiple folks to the table to really touch on this problem. So that's our takeaway point. Our folks with serious mental illness have these other issues going on that strongly connect with recidivism, such as substance abuse, returning to jail again, insecure housing, the co-occurring substance abuse and serious mental illness, high risk to recidivate, and this is a whole community issue, but not all doom and gloom here. We have seen some positive change in other counties we've been working with, even just getting stakeholders to talk to each other on a regular basis. They sparks ideas of new ways to collaborate, new areas to work clinicians into the criminal justice system and vice versa. So change is possible, and we want to encourage that happening. So far our role has been really doing these monthly calls with the stakeholders that came with us today. We want to try to bring this action forward in a number of different ways in the county. We have a few consultants on our team that are going to help do that. Celeste Rubal, our action planner. Our main question is, how can we continue this work going forward? Right now we're a technical assistance team, kind of brought in a quick shot in the arm to really help bolster data collection and collaboration. We're curious about how this collaboration can go forward after we're out. Of course, we want to stay involved and continue to encourage good collaboration. But where will these discussions take place after we're done is a question we're facing. Also, Scott Smith, our law enforcement consultation consultant, will be helping look at solutions in the community for law enforcement of maybe there's a Lifeways Crisis Center going on, and how can we encourage use from law enforcement to use that center, what barriers exist now and what needs to be taken care of for that to hopefully divert people even before they end up in jail would be fantastic. And also crisis response in jail. Just from working with Shirley Wilson in the jail, we've already seen fantastic improvement of how crises are being responded to in jail. So before someone was put into suicide watch, and it would take a call and several hours for someone to respond to the scene. But now, since Shirley Wilson is housed at the jail, thanks to the millage dollars approved in this county, we've been hearing that time in suicide watch is cut down significantly, as well as there's been less suicidal incidents, which is fantastic, not only for the people undergoing trauma, but also officer safety and the situation in the jails. So good. There's been some good work going on. We're going to continue that to encourage that. And then how do we track progress on an ongoing basis? We've got a number of parties going on that all have different data systems, and so I'll be working with our stakeholders to find out what numbers we'll be looking at going forward to really show how the improvement has been working. So data that we're still collecting that we will have for our next presentation, whether that be here or another body that'll continue this work forward, or both. Recidivism, number of bookings working into jail. Right now we have self-report. We're going to get harder data from the jail to really see how that's been changing. Length of stay, how long are people with SMI in the jails? The longer they're staying in, they pose more of a risk to themselves and others, particularly officers, and we'd like to see that length of stay decrease. How is the jail identifying mental illness coming in, and how is the referral and service process going? We have a process analysis in place. We're going to show who's coming in with the SMI in the jail, and how are they being connected with the treatment, how is SUD being involved, and really time to crisis response. So that's the data I have. I welcome any questions from either from the community or the commission. And we have more extensive data, but I didn't want to detract from the message here. So thank you for your time.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
You mentioned 40% of, I believe that was SMI people, were struggling with substance abuse. You
Yeah.
focused a lot on substance abuse. And I'm curious as to what your guys' stance are and how you're measuring the effects of marijuana, if that's considered a substance or not, especially now with it being legalized medically,
Right.
as well as recreationally, if you're deferring between the two.
Right. So at the time of the screening was back in September in 2018. At the time, it was not legalized. The question we had earlier was, specific verbiage was, how many times in the past year have you used an illegal drug or prescription drug for non-medical purposes? So those folks would have reported in that 40% number. So you're right, that could be in that number. Also, this is self-report data. This is someone walking into a booking officer and telling an officer they've been using drugs, which, they may not always want to do. So this could even be underestimating the true prevalence rate of substance use in the jail. So it's the best data with what we could, but we know it's an issue in the community.
I just have one question. With having Shirley Wilson on site, how has the numbers changed and the data changed?
Yeah. So when we got started, it was right as Shirley Wilson was coming in. So we don't have a lot of data before she became involved, but we do plan to measure the amount of suicidal incidents before she came in and after she came in. Just anecdotally, we're seeing a big drop. So a lot more people are sending kites or crisis notes to Shirley to get help instead of telling an officer, I want to kill myself. So we've noticed that change already, and Shirley Wilson has been seeing a vast number of people, same day response, which has frankly been impressive compared to a lot of the jails we work with.
And when did she start?
I believe that
on site?
August 13th?
Of this year, or of 18?
Yeah, 2018, yeah.
Thank you. No further.
Any further questions? So that the commission understands, they're working with Lifeways and the Sheriff's Department on coordinating all of this effort, and that's part of the team?
That's right.
Okay, and the K6 screening instrument is being utilized since August 18th on all people that are brought into the jail?
So that's our goal. So right now, the K6 screening instrument was just during our collection period for the few weeks. As part of our data integration piece, we want to see how this, not only this screening, but what other mental health screenings can be in the jail as regular process to flag people going forward.
It will be a screening too. I mean, the intention is that it will be a permanent process as part of working.
Okay.
To be able to identify and make the referrals to the mental health clinician that's there.
And this document works to protect our officers, also our corrections officers, when they're dealing with a patient, also on communication, correct?
Absolutely. Recognizing the issue is the first step. You want to?
So this will be, and our goal is to institute this as part of the common practice. We have a number of intake questions that deal with substance abuse, mental illness, people who have been receiving treatment, but again, self-reporting. Those tools and questions were not validated in a sense where you could standardize the data collection, right? It is what we had used based on best practices in the past. When they came forward with this opportunity, we couldn't sign on quick enough. This will be part of the uniform practice to collect the data in a very consistent manner, to use that data to address the problem, and then to try to take that data and figure out how do we get our arms around the problem.
Thank you, Chris. My concern is twofold. One, the incarcerated, obviously, but number two, corrections officers, there's a toll paid when you deal with a person in mental illness and the way they interact with you, and if it ends up becoming a bad situation or it becomes a negative outcome at the end of the event, that affects that officer also. I know it involves, everything going through the system.
Very much so, and the one thing that I want to point out that probably didn't get expressed out in some of these details is the biggest issue and struggle that we have is the very obvious mental health issues that present when we intake an individual. Those are very obvious. You can see those. You can see either the physical symptoms, somebody who voluntarily reports that they're receiving services or have mental health crisis. It's the people in the middle that maybe we have some concern about but didn't self-report, we can't verify they're receiving services. Those are the people that we want to try to catch and gather, and with Shirley being in the jail now and our cooperative with Lifeways, which has been just a monumental impact in a positive way on the jail operations, we now have that ability to identify those who maybe didn't want to or weren't cognizant enough to self-report that they are or had been receiving services through either Lifeways or another mental health provider. We now have that ability to connect those people. So those individuals in the middle, those individuals who maybe could have been potentially lost, that is one of the kind of the great aspects of the system, and to identify at the intake process so we can treat them, house them accordingly.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions? Tony?
I'd like to see on this this K6 screening instrument, the second question down there, how many times in the past year have you used an illegal drug or used a prescription drug for non-medical reasons? I'd like to see another comment in there, how many that now that marijuana is going to be more prevalent and easily accessible, how many times have you used marijuana in the last 30 days, the last year? I'd like to see that track so we can see how does that affect our crime rate, how does that affect our recidivism in our jails, what impact is that really going to have on our community? Anyway, we can add one more data point on this form?
Absolutely. So that'll be, thank you for your comment, and so we will, as part of our data integration piece, we'll take that and to make sure that it's a regular question asked at booking, and we'll see how we can report that on a regular basis.
Commissioners? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Animal shelter, Deborah? Okay. Lydia's going to? Okay. Hi, Lydia.
What a surprise. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for letting me speak with you today. We have, as you know, we've been trying to look for a part-time vet tech. We have 2 positions that are currently available. We have some really great candidates for a full-time position, and I think it would really be an added value to the shelter overall for the quality of care for the animals there, and be a good investment for us to make. The only financial difference would be the fringe benefits, which is about $14,000. But the millage passed will allow to cover that expense. Hoping that you'll agree to let us convert those 2 part-time into 1 full-time position.
Does this follow through the committee process, or do you want action today?
We're requesting action today, which I know is unusual, but we have had the positions posted since October. And then we had 1 part-time vet tech who left in December, and we've had no luck in filling those positions, so we are asking to move quickly. We do have a candidate that we've interviewed who is interested in full-time, who would be able to start pretty quickly if we get this approved today. So we are asking for action today because it has been posted, the positions have been posted since October.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
I would move the request.
We have a motion
Second.
and support. Further questions to the motion?
Yeah, just a brief discussion. What avenues have you taken to look for these part-time positions? I understand you posted it on the website. Have we used any other resources? Have we used Michigan Works?
We've posted on Indeed and also contacted Michigan State University, plus the county website.
You know, my concern always is when you eliminate 2 part-time to do 1 full-time, you actually lose flexibility in scheduling and staffing. In the private sector, for sure, it's like that. And you're adding an additional $14,675 a year, and we're not picking up any additional coverage to the public. So that's my main concern with it. And I'd like to see more aggressively go after 2 part-timers. Did we use Michigan Works? Did they actually get involved, or?
No, this vet techs require a certification, so typically you would post it on job-specific websites, which we have done.
Okay.
HR typically will reach out if we have a particular position that requires some sort of certification. HR will typically reach out to the department head or elected official and request specific websites to post it on, so we do that. We also, word of mouth, Lydia's very involved in the animal community with veterinarians and such, so we typically spread the word of mouth as well. But we do typically post it on job-specific websites, professional websites related to those organizations. Like we did for our veterinarian, we posted on very specific websites that will catch those people that have those, job requirements.
And the certification you speak of, are they obtaining that through college, Career Quest?
It's a licensed position, so they have to go through specific college to receive their certification.
Okay, so an associate's degree, what are we talking? What's the level? Better question is, when they go to obtain that certification, how long is the program?
I believe it's 2 years.
2 years, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? Darius?
Yes, my questions and comments were pretty much, well, most of them were answered. I guess that my only other question I would have is that, are you anticipating, with having these 2 positions created into 1 position, are you expecting the work to increase, decrease at that point?
There's plenty of work for them to do.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
That's okay.
Are you expecting the completed work to increase or to decrease?
I think the work will have more efficiency in the work, because if there's 2 people and they're giving instructions on turnover on animals, instead of having 1 person, they're spending time trying to explain, go through every animal in the shelter and tell them what medications they're on, what illnesses they may or may not have, and they're spending a lot of time talking to each other, and that could mean something gets missed, or they're just spending time on turnover where we can have one person who's aware of all the animals and what they need, so every day they can get in and get started right away with medicating without having to communicate. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So if I can expand a little bit, the one position, the one part-time position is added because of the millage. So we had an additional, back in October, we requested to add, we only had one part-timer first. And we've added a part-time position because of the millage. It is anticipated with the animal control officers being out there that we will have an increase in animals coming into the shelter, which is why we added that part-time position back in October. Again, we've been recruiting since October and haven't had luck in filling part-time positions. The demand for the market is full-time positions. So one of them is added, one of the part-time positions. One is an existing position where the person left in December. So, but we've had difficulty filling that. So, but it is anticipated with animal control officers that we will see an increase in the need for a veterinarian as well as the need for the vet techs. But there is plenty of work for them to do right now.
So in the past, I'm sorry, in the past, has it always just been one assistant there?
Yes, one part-time.
Part-time, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions? All in favor? Those opposed?
Nay.
Duly carried.
One question. Deb, have we filled the positions of the animal control officers?
We have one animal control officer out there. We have one vehicle. The 3 vehicles that we ordered did come in. They're being retrofitted right now. I'm not sure what the status of those are, but we do have, we had a job offer extended to another person who backed out. So Lydia is finalizing second round of interviews for the animal control officer position. We're hoping to have a second position filled within the next couple of weeks. So we're actively moving on that. We've got plenty of candidates to pick from, I believe. And so we're hoping to extend a job offer to a second person pretty quickly here. But we only have one vehicle right now, so that gentleman is out and about. We're waiting on equipment, not only electronic ticket equipment, but the radios. We don't have radios yet. And
That's basic, just
Yeah,
the vehicles,
so-
but, and Deborah, this is my fault. I did extend an offer to a
Okay,
second
great.
ACO last night.
Thank you.
So, we haven't had a chance to talk yet this morning, so.
So we're working on it. Motion in progress there.
Yep, and the trucks are in, and they, one of them has the signage that just happened on Friday. The other one is getting outfitted for the animals on the back of the truck, and then we're going to swap them out. So we should have the vehicles running very quickly, and hopefully radios will be soon to follow.
Okay, then. J.C. Dot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First off, I'd like to say, Christopher, I'd like to apologize for not being here. But him and Angie are up at the Sault Ste. Marie at an engineering conference for their annual conference presenting on road recycling. And apparently they've got a lot of interest in it up there. So they're up there right now. So you get me, which is, one, going to guarantee a shorter presentation. One thing I would like to say in reference to the Michigan Works that was up here earlier, we did have 3 of the Michigan Works job shadowing individuals last year. Worked out great. We kind of cycled them through administration, some of our operations, vehicle maintenance, stock control, that kind of thing. And I think it worked well for everybody. So look forward to that again this year. On to the stuff at hand for Green Road temporary closure.
We'd like the board to authorize the closure of Green Road from Loveland Road to the private drive just east of Hideaway Lane. It's a distance of .78 miles. Resolve that the closed section of Green Road be deleted from the county road system, and approve the attached lease agreement for Aggregate Industries. If you'd like to go into some of the details, we can. What are you exactly looking for?
Commissioners, questions? David?
Bob, I think it's worth mentioning during public comment period, maybe before you got here, there was a resident of the area that commented on the potential loss of Green Road as, what's it called, Beauty Road, I think?
Natural Beauty Road.
Beauty Road, yeah.
Yes,
And
I actually talked to her, the two ladies that were here earlier. So I briefly talked with her before and explained to her our intention is not to touch the Natural Beauty Road. We'll do as little as possible to get the work done, but there's no intention to destroy or invade the natural vegetation that's already there, and dedicating the Natural Beauty Road. And she's concerned about in the future also for other roads, because I think she was a little concerned about the public meeting notice. And really what this is an agreement to have them come up with a plan, basically, and based off that plan, if we deem that it is going to significantly impact the public, or the Natural Beauty Road, then we would have to go back to the township, notify them, and ask for if they would like to have a public meeting on that. But what we're intending on doing shouldn't impact significantly like the code says. So I think we're okay with it, and she was okay with it, and actually decided to leave and not stay for the second public comment. So I think we're good on that part.
I did note in one of the documents that are attached, it did say that somebody had checked and you believed that you'd be all right, but I thought it was worthy of mention.
Yes.
So she had commented on it. Thank you.
But yes, I did talk to her and address that with her today.
That's the only individual that's expressed concern with trucks.
Yes, for the
going back
Natural
and
Beauty
forth.
Road, yes. Because she was the original one that's done a lot of work for a lot of the Natural Beauty roads in the township. So she was concerned on not just this road, but all roads, that we weren't, unless you're going to go in and do things without recognizing that they're Natural Beauty roads.
On the lease agreement for the mining, approximately how many homes are going to be impacted by trucks going by them on a daily basis?
Should be none. All property that borders that mining operation is owned by Michigan, the DNR. And so all their operations will be there going directly out to the adjoining road.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I got one more question if I can.
Well, Darius was next. Go ahead, Darius.
Thank you. How long is this project intended to take?
They say that once it starts, it'll be 12 months to do all the mining, and then they have a 6-month requirement to put the road back in place to our specs, to a gravel road spec, within 6 months.
Okay, and then in reviewing the material over the course of the weekend, I believe I saw that, I'm trying to find it, that the company Aggregate Industries was the best choice. Was that correct?
Yes, they're already mining that area. That's all the property that is on both sides of the road is owned by DNR. It's just the right-of-way property and the restrictions on that are owned by us, and so they've already done or are doing the rest of it, and they're just asking to do the portion that's underneath the road.
And how long have they been doing that already? When did that start, what you're referring to?
We've been out there approximately 8 or 9 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they've been working at it for a while. They've got a restoration plan in place and they're kind of doing it as they go, so that when they're done, it'll be not only just mined, but it'll also be restored. It'll be able to have horse trails and a park and a lake, and there's a lot of, I think I'm part of the packet that you got, that's all in there. So they're already in the process of the restoration and everything, right, as we speak.
Thank you.
Commissioner Elwell.
Just one last point for me. Bob, I think they've agreed to do a temporary road with a gate with a lock on it in the event the main road gets blocked.
Yes, they're gonna build and maintain a road alongside it to the south. It'll have a lock box they've already talked to the emergency services in the township so they know and they agree with what they're planning to do. They'll be able to get in and go through if they need to for emergency services, but they will maintain it as far as maintenance and plowing in the wintertime to allow access to that side. It'll be closed to public, but the emergency service will be able to access it.
So my suggestion was going to be that whoever's taking care of that, coordinate with the sheriff department if they're using the Knox box system, because they have that in place in the county for schools already, and all the county and township patrol cars in the county have the same key to access those. So it might be wise to coordinate with the sheriff department, or at least check with them. That's it for me.
Sure will.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir?
One additional question. I think I remember some discussion on this over the course of over the summer. And it may have been something other related, but with having this this gated road there, does this slow down any response times at all?
I'm sure it would some, but
nothing
it's better
significant.
than going all the way around the block, though.
Sure.
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
I know that this did get discussed at a previous meeting. I didn't know how in-depth you want me to get. I've got all kinds of notes that...
Oh, you're fine. Just keep answering questions.
Let's see.
Commissioners?
One of the things that you guys did ask, I think at the last meeting, was if they would bump up the royalty rate. They basically came back and said, no, they couldn't do that. This is already higher than what they're paying DNR for the adjoining property that they're already mining, so we're going to get more for our piece than what DNR already gets. So they felt that was a fair price and not to cause issues with the DNR.
Mr. Chairman, as a
Yes,
point
sir.
of order, is it going to the full board? Are we looking for action today, or is it going through committee into the full board, I think?
It should be going through the committee.
Okay, thank you.
So this will appear Monday, and the committees will recommend it for Tuesday night, so you'll get 2 more shots at this. Okay, next.
Okay, next is the McDivitt Road design phase. And basically here, we're asking to authorize the approval of an agreement with Fleece and Vanderbrink to design the reconstruction of McDivitt Road at a cost of $128,800. And this is to do the design portion of the McDivitt from Francis Street to 127.
Commissioners? Commissioner Elwell?
So Bob, they were the second lowest bidder, if I read it right, correct?
Yes.
And you're recommending them because of the pointing system you've used and how much better their presentation, availability, and understanding of the project is, essentially?
Yes, the bottom line is that the increase, which is, I think, $13,900, their offerings, their service, their availability of scheduling meets our needs. The other two companies that submitted, one was the high bid, and one really couldn't meet our timelines for what we're looking for.
And they ended up scoring 100 points on your system, and the next closest was 88 on the pointing system, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other commissioners?
And are you looking for action on this today?
You don't need action tonight, do you, or this morning?
Yeah, it does say action on the agenda item, but
Yeah, it's asking for the action.
Okay.
if it is, I'd so move.
Second.
We have a motion that's supported by Commissioner Kennedy. Any further questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. It's in your district.
Okay.
And it desperately needs it.
Yes.
The last thing is a federal aid exchange agreement. I believe you've seen this in the past. This is to approve the agreement for the transfer of federal aid funds in exchange for non-federal aid transportation dollars for fiscal year 2019 between Jackson County and Berry County Road Commission, as amended to show the purchase price of $686,451. The original that was approved last month was $685,054, and so there's actually an increase of federal funds available from Berry County of $1,397, and so this is asking to approve that additional amount.
Commission, any questions?
At our last meeting, the grant that Berry County received, we were able to purchase their grant for less money than the value of the grant, so we made a profit on it.
Yes. All these federal aid exchanges were, I believe, 80 cents on the dollar.
Yes, so adding this, this $1,397, is that,
That will also be at 80 cents on the dollar,
that's coming out of the profit we would have made versus adding to it?
adding to it.
Thank you.
They just wound up realizing they had more federal aid to sell than what they thought they had. And so we're just asking to buy it all at one chunk.
I'd so move.
Support.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir, are you moving? Tony Bear has made the motion. Is there support?
Support.
Being a resolution, I'd appreciate the posting, please.
And I do have the resolution to sign later on.
David?
Is that coming up? Yes.
7-0. Motion carried.
I believe that's all I've got for you.
Any other items to come before the board? We've arrived at the second opportunity for public comment. Any second public comment? Public comment is now closed. Commissioner comments.
I just have a quick question from a resident, and I couldn't find it on our website. I think it used to be on there.
I'll let you get with Deb after the meeting.
Okay.
Any other commissioner comments? Seeing none, we are adjourned.